So welcome back. If you've been following my videos, you'll know that this is the Mk4 motorised bicycle build. If it's your first time seeing one of my videos, welcome. Don't often do the voiceover narration thing because, let's be honest, I tend to just prattle on and talk utter nonsense and nobody really needs to hear that. But for this particular video, I thought I'd put in the extra effort. Basically because this bike, this particular build, has been absolutely fantastic. It has had its fair share of problems, which I have been following in the videos, but on this particular day I filled my 4-litre tank up and I wanted to see just how far I could get. Now in the end, according to Google Maps, the trip was 52 kilometres. And nothing broke down, nothing stopped, nothing rattled loose. It was an absolutely flawless ride. So I've just gone ahead and cut down that nearly 2.5 hour ride it was, down to, what have we got, 18 or 19 minutes here. What I was looking for was, as you can see along here, quiet country back roads, and if we're lucky, a few bush trails. Now I did get some really good looking footage here, but I can sit through the whole lot and just sort of zone out watching it and listening to that little 2-stroke motor putt along. Not everyone's really that obsessive about it, I guess. So what I have done is I have linked the entire 2-hour and 24-minute video in the description below. What I've actually done there is I've sped that up, I think times 8, so the motor sounds like a little insect. It amuses me to do that. You can see the entire trip in the space of about the same size as this video. It went for about 18 or 19 minutes if memory serves. No narration. I've just muted the sound a little bit because it does get a bit high-pitched and bad on the speakers. Now I really liked this trail here. Now I'm just going to shut up for a minute just to listen to the bike. Pretty much out of nowhere, I came to the top of this little hill, looked to my left. Cool! Now this is probably my favourite part of this trip. This road did just end nowhere.
Well, does this road just end here now, does it?
Just keep going through the trees. It was actually kind of eerie. I would not have liked to have done this particular road at night. But I thought, we're here, let's just see where it goes.
Fairly definitive, I'd say.
Now this was quite steep here. It really doesn't show on the video, but you kind of get a sense of it when I turn around at the top. I really sort of panic whenever I stall the bike on a, steep, sort of boggy terrain. After I did my walk of shame up the mountain, I could not get the bike started again. I was pretty lucky here. If it was wet, I might have struggled, but it was still pretty firm and I was able to get the bike started again. Also, it wasn't that far of a walk back up to the road either. But you can really hear the bike labour. I've got my little Nexus 3-speed in first, doing everything I can to get this bike up the hill. There was a little track coming up here on the left. I cut the video just shortly after. Didn't go down there, but I might come back down here and just kind of see where it goes. I'm pretty sure it's just another little bush track. This was the road that led into that area. I cut the trip because I was basically just coasting, and you didn't come here to see somebody coast on a bicycle down a hill. You came here for the motor, I'm sure. Again, this was not the steepest of hills, but it was long and ongoing. The bike does fairly well on most hills. It'll cruise up at about 30 k's an hour steadily. With a bit of pedal input, you can get a bit faster. But if you can see my speedo down there in the sort of off to the right on the handlebars, we're sitting on about 30 k's an hour going uphill. You can kind of get perspective if you look off into the scenery. You can see how steep it really is. And there's the main road up here. And I just stopped, do a fuel check, make sure the chains is still tight. Here we go. I wasn't really paying attention, and a lot of these roads I've driven past 100 times and never looked twice at these little side roads. So yeah, I absolutely had to turn around and go and see where this one went. Again, I coasted down most of this, so I cut a lot of it out, but it was a really, really nice stretch of mountain trail. Really do miss having front suspension when you're riding everywhere on a beach cruiser bike, or in this case a bush cruiser bike. More relevant, this thing will never see a beach in its life. A part of me wanted to fly around this corner full tilt, but I was looking at that trail to the right trying to decide if it was worth going up, but I just decided to stick to the main road. Well, I call this the main road. You know what I mean. Now, this hill coming up here was an absolute beast of a hill. It's almost as steep as the hill that the bikes have been stalling on. Again, if you've been watching my videos, there's one particular hill that I hit, and it is that long and steep that the bikes just, they die, even with me pedaling as hard as I can. Now, I'm not some athlete, I'm not particularly fit, so I'm sure you can make it up. My Mk4 bike used to make it up there without hesitating. That was a particularly good engine until I snapped an engine mount and then proceeded to snap an easy out inside the broken bolt. And there is a video on that too. Go digging, you'll find it. There Here we go. Forest road conditions are that sign on the left, basically warning you of, you know, mud and fallen trees and floods and all sorts. And the conditions can be really changeable, especially this time of year as we're leaving spring, coming into winter. But today was just a beautiful day. It was actually quite cold, especially being up in the mountains as well. I'm wearing, you know, double layers, a jacket over a jacket basically, and the wind was still just biting. Now this was fun. This was a nice steep downhill and then back up the other side. Now, right, I guess I could provide a few little updates if you're stuck along for the ride this long. I'll give you a few spoilers. What is up and coming on the bike? Well, the first thing is I have sent a few emails off to Bikeberry in the States because they have a wealth of spare parts. You Americans would know you're spoiled with how many companies you've got supplying spare parts. There is really nothing like that in Australia. We just get the kits and that's about it. So emailed Bikeberry. Turns out they are shipping to Australia for a small fortune. But I am getting the Nexus hub adapter. That is, of course, the 3-speed internal gears. The sprocket. Now, I've ordered a 36-tooth sprocket and a 48-tooth sprocket to go with that as well. Now, I'm pretty excited about that because that's my first foray away from the rag joints. Now, I have heard some hate against the hub adapters, them not fitting particularly well. But I mean, this is an American bike. It's stamped as built in California. The adapter is specifically for that hub. I don't have any doubts that it'll fit. It should just be fine. And I'm hoping that it will be really easy to just chop and change the sprockets on the fly. So when I'm on nice flat level ground, I can put the smaller sprocket on and pick up some speed. And when I'm in the hilly areas like this, I can throw the 48 on and have a bit more torque. So that's been shipped, but thanks COVID-19, I've got no idea how long that would normally take to get here. You know, pre-2020, you might expect something from America to take 2 weeks tops. But as far as I can tell, it hasn't even left the country yet, so it's a waiting game for that. Now, the other thing that I've got going on is an upcoming video. I have fitted an auxiliary tank. If you've been watching the videos, you'd know I'd upgraded the fuel tank on the Mk4 bike, and I've borrowed it for this one, the 4-litre fuel tank. I've got now 4 of these engine kits. You know, if the Mk4 wasn't a dead giveaway, that should have been. So I've got a wealth of spare parts, 4 spare, you know, stock standard little fuel tanks. And I thought, well, I'm always worried about running out of fuel. I'm hitting some pretty decent distances. Wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit of extra fuel on the back? So I've gone ahead and strapped that. They call it a 2-litre. I've measured it out. It's closer to 1.5-litre tank on the back. That's a work in progress. What I'd like to do is measure out, you know, say 1.5 litres of fuel and just ride on that auxiliary tank, and we'll see how far we can get on that one tank. Then what I've gone and done is I saw a video on how to make a so-called boost bottle. If you know the bikes, then you know what I'm talking about. These boost bottles, they suck up the excess fuel from the line in the carby, and they're supposed to give you a little bit of extra power, save you a bit of fuel. But, you know, because I can't get anything like that easily, as I said, I saw a video on how to make one yourself out of PVC pipe. So I've done a series of videos of me trying to figure that out. So it's built. It's not on the bike yet. Next time I get out, I've got to finish running the fuel line into the auxiliary tank. So what I'd like to do is a test run on the auxiliary just as the bike is now, and then I'll go and fit this boost bottle. I want to make sure it works, obviously, and then we'll repeat the test and see if we do get any noticeable difference in, you know, top speed or distance is what I'm more concerned about. If I can actually save fuel, and the claim is that these things will save you fuel. You know, you're not losing fuel that's being spewed out of the back of the carburetor. And, you know, I have seen that, especially if you get a sticky float bowl, it will just pour. Now, it's not going to stop a sticky fuel bowl, unfortunately, but I didn't have any special intake manifolds. I grabbed my spare one off the Mk4 engine, which doesn't matter because, as I said earlier, it's got a snapped stud. And I actually drilled and tapped a hose connection into that manifold and stuck a bit of JB weld putty around there. Again, I'm hoping that's nice and solid and it's sealed up really well. It looks good. Again, I won't know until I actually test it. And we're coming up to the end of the video here. This was maybe about 40 minutes from home. There wasn't really any highlights. It was just me basically riding alongside of the road, which does get a bit repetitive after a while. So yeah, that's what's up and coming in the near future, is my how to make your own boost bottle build, and a fuel economy comparison with the auxiliary tank. So I'll put the auxiliary tank and the boost bottle build in the same video because there's not much to either. And from there, we'll do our side-by-side comparison, and hopefully the bike doesn't break down in the meantime. All right, see you next time.